It's my traditional Christmas top 5 phones. It's fun to put together and hopefully instructive in terms of recommending things to viewers. As usual, I factor in value as well as absolute functionality and future-proofing. And I'm ignoring the second-hand market. You'll have your own favourite routes, CEX, auction sites, closed forums like the PSC Classifieds. On MeWe, I can't emphasise this enough. Buying last year's flagship today is always going to deliver the best bang per buck, as it were. But this top 5 has to be, understandably, by definition, about phones still sold new. At number 5, it's the Google Pixel 4a 5G at £500. A sensible price for a cracking smartphone that has just about everything one would want. Good AMOLED display, good stereo speakers, a proven good main camera with Google's great software plus the same wide-angle camera as the Pixel 5. And a headphone jack, yay! And a capacitive fingerprint scanner that's instant, reliable and utterly COVID-19 friendly, by happy accident. The cherry on the cake here is the guaranteed OS updates through 2023 and security updates until well into 2024, I reckon, with zero bloat, zero spyware, zero UI gimmicks that you have to work around. And if £500 is too much for you, but you still fancy the idea, there's the Pixel 4a, smaller, no 5G and only the one camera, but only £350, which is a bargain, I reckon. At number 4, it's the Sony Xperia 5 Mark II. It's almost the perfect smartphone with great 1080p AMOLED display, narrow form factor, great triple camera, even greater stereo speakers. There are Sony media USPs like pro imaging apps, in theory a decent DAC driving an audio jack, a flagship chipset and performance to die for. Downsides, well, no Qi charging, but then it's thin, so that's a trade-off, I think. And the price, it should be £500, maybe £600. It's actually £800. So if you fancy this, and who wouldn't, wait for special offers and deals. At number 3, it's the tortuously named Xiaomi Mi 10T Lite 5G. It's the culmination of years of iteration from Xiaomi and its sub-brands, bringing the absolute maximum anyone might want for as little a price as possible. In this case, under £200 in the UK, for which you get 5G, a large 6.7-inch IPS display, stereo speakers, a giant almost 5,000 mAh battery, very decent main and ultra-wide cameras with top-notch image processing. Add in 6GB of RAM, a Snapdragon 750G chipset, a choice of storage plus microSD, 33-watt fast charging and a headphone jack. And you can see why all of this is so high in my ratings. True, it's Xiaomi's Mi UI on top of Android 10, but it's extremely usable these days, trust me. A top pick, I think. But now we're into the top 2. And at number 2, we have the latest iPhone 12 Pro. No, not the Max shooting this show, but the smaller one. It's cutting edge in almost all ways, from display quality, speed, battery life and speaker output, but all in a very pocketable size. Unlike the 12 Pro Max, as I say, shooting this, which I've been enjoying for extra imaging tweaks, extra display size, but which is too large and heavy to recommend to anyone not actually expecting that form factor. Yes, the 12 Pro is £1,000, but you get unrivaled support, both hardware and software, with updates for 6 or 7 years. It's the best Apple can do in the smartphone form factor. It's made from stainless steel, for goodness sake, covered in ceramic shield glass, and it's pretty darn impressive. Leaving the number 1 slot free for this, which also happens to be my featured review. This is the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE, Fan Edition. Even back now to full retail, it's £600, the 4G and £700 for the 5G, which even then I don't think is outrageous. They do watch for special offers, as always with Samsung. On paper, I'd argue it's even an improvement over the full S20 Plus launched back at the start of 2020 because it's a lot cheaper. Heck, it's cheaper than last year's S10 Plus still. It has an optical fingerprint in-screen scanner, not a pesky ultrasonic. It's still not perfect, but it works at least 90% of the time, I'd say, and I hope Samsung sticks to optical from now on. It has a proper 3 times telephoto lens, not the awful kludge that was the 1.1 times effort with smart cropping that the S20 was lumbered with. As a result, zoom shots here are much better, portrait shots, live focus are better, the triple camera system seems a lot more balanced. The main camera is identical to that on the flagships. See the example photos here. Yes, there's the usual Samsung edge enhancement and slightly hyper-real colours, But then that's what you kind of expect from a Samsung, surely. Reason number 4, the back is plastic, not glass, making the phone much more durable and easier to repair should the time come. Yet it still looks and feels great. A plastic textured back, just as with the 2020 Pixels, means you don't actually need a TPU case. Yes, it would help, but it's not as essential as when guarding a glass sandwich design, I contend. The only real spec downgrade from the standard S20 series is that the display is 1080p and not 1440, but then most people run their S9, Note 9, S10, S20 Plus, the whole range. They run them all at 1080p, which is the default to save battery life, and on the latest phones to enable 120Hz refresh. And most people, including me, can't tell the difference. Everything else from chipset to DeX compatibility to charging options are the same as on the S20 Plus. The RAM's even the same with the 256GB storage option here, a capacity not available on the previous higher-end S20 devices, plus the usual micro SD expansion. The stereo speakers are the same and they sound fantastic. Here's a demo. Bit of classic rock show for you on a love that, love it. This with the Dolby Atmos on. You can turn it off, it depends on the content. Battery size here is the same at 4,500 mAh and life is, well, if anything, better than I remember. Easily a full day and with life to spare. Samsung has its usual range of battery modes and options designed to get you home even when critically low. And reverse wireless charging is here too, at the usual 5 watts for accessories. As I say, this is the fan edition. This makes sense, though I do wish they'd really listen to fans and brought back the 3.5mm headphone jack, which many are missing from the S9 and S10 ranges. Well, you can't have everything, I guess. I absolutely loved my time with the S20 FE. It felt right in the hand. It didn't look like a Samsung money grab. It has almost every feature one could want in 2020. And if my beloved S9 Plus was ever to die, this could well be the modern equivalent that would fill its shoes without breaking the bank. Oh, one more thing. It's fun to analyse my own pics after the fact. All 5 of these phones have stereo speakers. I get that there's limited stereo from a 6-inch phone screen, but when watching media with only a bottom-firing mono speaker, I'm always left thinking something's missing. So stereo it is. 3 of my 5 have a 3.5mm headphone jack. It's not essential, but it's still, as we head into 2021, a nice to have. Options, eh? 3 of my 5 have a capacitive fingerprint scanner, still very reliable. 1 has Face ID, equally reliable, but tough going with COVID masks on. And 1 has in-screen optical. Only 2 of my 5 have Qi charging, but it's the top 2, and I think for my personal, slightly geeky use, this is a must-have, Qi charging. It's too ubiquitous now. It's too useful.